Joining me today exclusively on 1045theteam.com is a Shaker High School graduate, East Carolina University standout pitcher, and projected first-round Major League draft pick in tonight's MLB draft, Jeff Hoffman. Jeff, the draft is just hours away. Thanks for being with us.
Hey, no problem. It's good to be here.
What's your feelings going into the draft? Is it anxious? Is it excited? Is it nervous? Is it a little bit of everything? What are you feeling right now?
Yeah, there's definitely a little bit of everything. Right now it's just trying to keep those emotions down and really just go into this thing kind of level-headed and not expect too much or too little out of anything.
How are you going to be watching the draft or listening to the draft? Are you going to be following it anxiously? Are you just going to wait for a phone call and trying to kind of keep your mind off everything? You having a special watch party? What's kind of what are your plans for later in the day?
Yeah, I'm going to have a family watch party at my house back in Latham, so that'll be fun. I'll have all my family and friends around me, all my support crew, and actually down at ECU, they're actually going to have a watch party too at one of the restaurants down there. So, it's going to be fun.
Jeff, not everyone knows your story. Coming out of high school, coming out of Shaker, not a lot of buzz about you on the recruiting trail. You end up at ECU, you tear it up at the Cape Cod League for the past 2 summers, get noticed a lot, get a lot of attention. You shoot up the prospect ranks, talks of you maybe even being the number 1 pick in the draft. You just had Tommy John surgery. You missed your last 2 starts in April. Turns out to be Tommy John. You were down in Alabama with Dr. James Andrews. What were your emotions during that?
Yeah, it was tough, obviously. I mean, anybody that has to go through that kind of thing, you don't want to wish it on anybody. It's just, one of the hardest things you got to do as a pitcher. So finding out I needed it, when I went down to Dr. Andrews and he let me know I needed the surgery, it was kind of a whirlwind at first, but, at the same time, the surgery doesn't change the pitcher that I am, and I know that. And, and I'm trying to get that point across the teams as well that, this isn't going to change my pitching makeup or what I'm going to do on the mound when I get back out there. So, I'm just trying to get back to work on the rehab process right now.
Well, Tommy John's certainly no longer the death sentence that it used to be for a pitcher. Oftentimes, guys come back stronger, and you've had the procedure from the best, so that's got to be a good peace of mind for you and any organization that you're talking to. It started out, it was reported forearm tightness, which is kind of always the precursor to potential Tommy John. Did you know something was wrong right away, or what was that feeling like, or did it just kind of snowballed on you?
Yeah, at first, it didn't really pop into my head that, I just tore my ACL. I'd never had elbow problems before, never anything wrong with really anything on my body, never had a surgery prior to this. And, I felt a little tug on my arm when I was warming up in my last start. It was about the 7th inning, and, I didn't really think too much of it. I just kind of pitched through, and the next few days it took off and went out there the next time to throw my bullpen, and it was still that same tug. So I figured, something wasn't right in there, and that's when I went down to see Dr. Andrews. On
a certainly related but kind of separate note, Tommy John surgery has been an epidemic at the major league level this year. You're talking countless big-name starters from Matt Harvey, Jose Fernandez. Do you have any thoughts kind of on what leads to this injury, or maybe just talking to Dr. Andrews directly, because it's something that he's had to deal with a lot this season also? Did he mention anything about maybe why he thinks this is occurring?
He didn't really give me anything specific, but, in my opinion, it's just something that is going to happen when you got guys throwing at such high velocities and trying to hold that velocity for a certain amount of time. You look at guys like Fernandez. Those guys are, holding their velocity deep in the games. They're still pumping their 94, 97 late in games, and that's kind of the same thing with me. So, I just think it's a little bit too much wear and tear on the body, and to an extent, it's going to happen at some point.
Jeff, I've seen you, despite the surgery, I've seen you in the first round everywhere I've looked. I've seen you as, kind of pegged in that 10 to 15 range. Does it really matter to you to where you get drafted? You're a junior. You had the opportunity to go back to school. Does it really matter where you get drafted?
There's always that little peace of mind that, you would like to go as high as possible, just because of where I was at before the injury and everything. But I know wherever I go, I'm going to end up with a great organization, and whoever takes that so-called risk is going to get the best player in the draft. I've been saying that, for a few weeks now, and I really believe that.
Jeff, I want to ask you a little bit here about the local connection. a guy that you were rivals with in high school while he was at Shenendehowa, you were at Shaker, a guy you played with on the summer ball scene with the South Troy Dodgers. We talked to him 3 weeks ago. We talked a little bit about you. Brandon Cogswell, he's the second baseman at the University of Virginia, likely to hear his name called during draft weekend as well. He's 2 wins away from a College World Series berth. What are your thoughts on Brandon?
Yeah, just a great kid. I grew up playing with him. I played, the first thing I did with him was play in Cooperstown when we were 10 years old for a team called Clifton Park Cougars, and that was kind of where our friendship began. And ever since then, we made our way up through playing with the East Greenwich Devil Cats and then to the South Troy Dodgers. And that kid's just a grinder and a worker. He's gonna go out there and do what he needs to do day in and day out, and that's why he's where he's at.
This area, you know it as well as I do, not thought of as just the baseball mecca, but there's been a lot of pitchers here in the recent years that come out of the Capital Region that are having success making it to the pro level. You start with Tommy Canley, also a Shaker graduate, who's in the majors right now for the Rockies. Murphy Smith, the Shen Project in Double-A for Oakland. Jamie Schultz from Maple Hill playing in the Rays system. How cool is that to just be part of this kind of select fraternity?
Yeah, it's unbelievable. I mean, the kind of group of guys that we've been playing with, our whole life, guys that are a little bit older than us, it's just, you just had that feeling kind of coming out of high school that, while we were kind of a part of, the best that ever came out of this area. It's just a good feeling to know that coaches and the sports staff around us, whether it be high school or summer ball or travel ball and AAU, those guys really taught us well and gave us the right incentive to go on and play pro ball.
What did the Capital Region do for you? You mentioned it a little bit, but kind of expand on it and kind of developing your skills. Like you said, the Devil Cats, going to Cooperstown and playing at Dreams Park, but playing for the South Troy Dodgers, getting that exposure through them, playing for Shaker. What did the Capital Region do for you, and what does it mean to you now as you look back kind of your baseball career?
Yeah, I mean, they just gave me all the tools that I needed to be able to go on and try to make my dream come true, playing professional baseball. I mean, I had countless coaches, whether it be summer ball or high school, and all those guys are absolutely phenomenal to me. I still keep in touch with every one of them, and they taught us well, and they gave us the tools to go out and play those tournaments against the best players in the country, and that's just a huge part of being competitive, and being able to go out and play against those guys just makes you a lot better as a player.
I asked Cogs this, and I asked it to him in a different way when I talked to him. I asked him, what was it like every day going out, feeling the pressure of being the number one team in the nation, knowing you were going to take everyone's best shot? What was it like for you on an individual level, pitching, knowing that there were scouts in the stands, radar guns back there? That's something you've been dealing with for a few years now through the Cape, so you're probably used to it. But what's that like? Was there any added pressure potentially pitching for a top 10 draft spot?
Yeah, I mean, there is that added pressure, and there's that added pressure because the team on the other side knows that as well and knows who you are, and they're going to go out and they're going to try to, they're going to give you their best every day. So you're going to go out there and face their best 9, and sometimes they have a little more energy. So you got to bring your A game all day, and you got to bring your best energy, and you got to go out and do what you do.
Jeff Hoffman, East Carolina pitcher. Jeff, we'll get you out of here on this. Your brother Tyler still played for Shaker this season, just is about to graduate, but just finished his senior year. How close did you follow the Bison this year? Were you still on top of Section 2 at all?
Got to stay on top of the Bison. Me and Coach Frank are still very close. He's done so much for me over the past years, whether it was getting into college or, getting me some exposure to colleges. So, I had to keep in touch with those guys and keep on top of my brother, make sure he's doing the right thing. So, I kept on track of him all the time.
Now, your brother's going to go play Division II at Barton College, I believe, in North Carolina. Is that correct?
That is right.
I see that you, the Hoffman family, not making it easy on your parents or the people that want to come watch you guys play. They better be racking up the frequent flyer miles.
That's right. We just want to play baseball in the warm weather.
Yeah, well, I hear you. It took until about May 10th to get that up here this year.
Yep, yes it did.
Jeff Hoffman, Shaker High School graduate, East Carolina University pitcher. Expected to hear his name early on in the draft tonight. First round, just hours away. Jeff, thanks for joining us, and best of luck.
Hey, thank you very much. Thanks for having me.